So, finally getting around to reviewing The Complete Guide to Fasting by Jason Fung and his co author Jimmy Moore, who also narrated the book on uh, Audible. Um, Not as groundbreaking, not as enjoyable as The Obesity Code, which is what prompted me to read this. That was just an amazing book. Um, I felt so much more informed and so empowered in terms of my nutrition after reading The Obesity Code. But what I will say is I definitely got what I needed from this book. Um, and I'll say that because my entire life, I feel like I have been a slave to my appetite. If my stomach growls, if I'm in a position where I can eat, the chances are I'm going to eat. And a lot of times, whether I know two areas that really bring about eating poorly are times of high stress or times of fun where, like, for instance, I spent 5 6 years going to a sports bar in Stanford watching football. It became a habit to just veg out watching football with my buddies and just pigging out, going on vacation. uh, when I get into this mode of, okay, I'm having fun now, it's like I want no responsibility and I just eat whatever I want. And the same thing happens with stress. When I feel like I'm under a tremendous amount of stress, I'm looking for instant gratification, something enjoyable, and that's almost always going to be food because it gives you instant gratification. I can go to McDonald's and have an extra value meal, and I love the way it tastes, or have pizza, or it's something I can do instantly. Uh, Garbage food is just so widely available that it's easy to find, much better. Or to say much more available than the joy of a workout, say when I'm working long hours or something like that. So um, I've always been a slave to my appetite. And what I would say I got from this book is the understanding of human physiology and just understanding. I think they did a great job of framing in prehistoric times, we didn't have an abundance of food. And for pretty much the majority of our existence in this planet, they essentially brought about that famines were pretty normal. Shortages of food were the norm. And the body has been designed and adapted through the years to store food. That's why we store so much body fat, to have a stored sense of energy or a stored um, source of energy for feast and famine periods. We eat and we bulk up. And then when there are famines, which are more the norm throughout the course of human history, the millions of years we've occupied this planet, than the last, say, 100 years. And they actually mentioned that there were plenty of famines even in the United States where crop shortages happened. They said the last known major food shortage in the US was during World War II. They said the Great Depression was a period where obviously there was a real shortage of food and a lot of people were struggling. And I say all that to say our body, through millions of years, has adapted to shortages of food for extended periods of time. It is something we've been programmed in the last 60, 70 years to believe that we need to constantly eat. And they also noted that before the advent of instant foods in the 1970s, and this is a topic that covered across both books, The Obesity Code and The Guide to Fasting, on average, people ate 3 meals a day and took in less than 2,000 calories. When, with the advent of processed foods becoming so abundant in the 70s, they really started to make their way onto the market in the 50s and 60s, but they really became abundant, a huge portion of the American food source in the 1970s. People have gotten adapted to food in abundance. And so while I'm a child of the 70s, born in 1976, and this is all I've known my entire life, I think it's important that they noted that this history of our species is one that has dealt with famines, and our body has adapted to this. Um, this is normal to the human body, even though mentally what we've been taught is that we need to eat constantly. And I think that's kind of an important point that got me to be comfortable to kind of step off the cliff and actually try this. I just always felt that there would be some very negative physical repercussions in not eating. I literally thought I might just pass out. Um, and I think what I've learned is that a lot of what I felt was mental and stuff that I've been taught and stuff that I've been told because I've been doing this for 2 months now, and it's like second nature to me. It's really not a big deal. Like I'm gonna fast tomorrow, and you'd think that today I'd want to load up on food and you know pack myself with food, knowing that I'm gonna go 24 hours without eating. And quite honestly, I don't do that. And actually, today I got up, ran 5.5 miles, and I wanted to go out and run some errands before the football game started. So I didn't even eat. I usually break my fast at 12, and I intermittent fast every 7 days a week. I never eat before 12 noon. So you'd think I'd be in a rush, burning all those calories. I burnt 900 calories, and I wasn't in any rush. I took a shower, went out, ran my errands. I got back at 1 o'clock and ate then. And I'm not gonna stuff myself today, knowing I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna go 24 hours without eating, and I don't feel any negative repercussions. I feel fine. I definitely have episodes during the day where my stomach is growling. But another important point that the book brought up is that hunger comes in waves. It's not constant. It's not something that builds. I'll have 3 or 4 periods tomorrow when my stomach is growling, and now mentally I know that's gonna pass. But in the past, I always thought, man, if I'm this hungry now, imagine an hour from now. But they explain this in the book, and it's true, at least for me. I'll have those periods, 15, 20 minutes, my stomach's growling, I'm so hungry, and then 20 minutes later it's gone. I have no appetite and I'm fine. So I think just kind of hearing the information, hearing firsthand stories from people who do fast on a normal basis. The author of the book actually said he did a 30-day fast, and he said he only ate twice during the entire time. And one of them was when he was on vacation and he went out with family and friends and they were at a restaurant. He said he wouldn't have eaten otherwise. He said he exercised as normal, went about his day as normal. All he did was take a multivitamin, drink tea and bone broth, and lived off of water. Um, just getting through my head that there's not going to be this horrible physical repercussion to fasting, I think was the single most important thing. um, and I just feel so empowered doing this now. I feel like I've got such tremendous control of my appetite. My adherence to my diet is better than ever. Uh, I think this is the key to me sustaining this weight loss. I definitely have my insecurities. I've been through this process before. In 2013, from 2012 to 2013, I went from about somewhere between 290 and 300 down to 250. And that was in March of 2013. I remember it was Easter Sunday when I weighed in and I was 250 and change. I was just over. It was like 250 point something. And I was like, man, I'm almost into the 240s. Um, and that was Easter Sunday 2013. By Christmas of the next year, I was over 300 pounds again. And I say that to say I need to be able to get to the point where I can control my weight with my diet, um, because there are going to be busy periods, there are going to be stressful periods. Who knows if I'll go back to the corporate side? It's not something I think about much at this point. But if I go back to the corporate side, someone makes me an offer I just can't refuse. I think about why I gained all that weight from March of 2013 to December of 2014. I changed jobs and we moved. I lived in a community where there was a gym and a basketball court. I didn't have to go outside. It was right in my building, and I also had a job where I worked hours very similar to what I work now. Um, I think, forget even changing jobs, I think about now, all of this working out I've been doing is very closely tied to the fact that COVID has me locked in a house with a whole bunch of gym equipment. Like, I have all of this at my disposal 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no waiting. I'm not worried about anyone else using it. I'm the only one that uses it. And I can work out in the middle of the day. If I have a gap between meetings, or I know I can get certain stuff done by the end of the day or whatever deadline it is, and fit in a workout. Like, I just have unlimited access to fitness equipment right now. Forget changing jobs. At some point next year, I'm going to start going back into the office, and that's going to be a major lifestyle change. So I saw the impact a lifestyle change had on my fitness when I left IBM and I moved out of that building in Stanford where I had fitness equipment. That was the reason I got this equipment, because I noted how helpful it was to just be able to go, whether it's raining, whether it's cold, whether it's hot. I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to get in my car and go to the gym. I'm not worried about the hours, nothing. I just had unlimited access. The gym was open 24 hours a day. Um, so that was the inspiration to getting the equipment. And with COVID, it's not like I'm going to the movies, going to birthday parties. I don't leave the house for the office. I have unlimited access. So I really have to get to the point where I have my diet under control. And I really wanted to pursue this path with the fasting, because for me to have longevity with this and this not to just be a blip and then back to being 300 and something pounds again, I have to control my diet. Like, make no bones about it. There are going to be periods where I can't work out. Uh, it's just a fact. And I have to get my diet under control for me to be in a situation where when I'm 50 and 60 and 70, I'm not 300 pounds, because I'm not going to see 75 years old if I'm 340 pounds for an extended period of time. So I think the diet is the key to that. The exercise and running and all that is helping me get my weight down. But whenever I get my weight to whatever it's going to be able to have the longevity, I have to be able to control my diet. So I think the fasting, taking it to the furthest extreme, has given me control over my diet and my appetite, unlike I've ever had before. And I think that's really fueling my recent results. I've been very consistent with my diet, and I just think it's because I've learned to control it. I've learned to stop responding to hunger pangs. I've learned to stop responding to my appetite. So, I really felt like this book was helpful in that it demystified the thought that I'd have some repercussion from restricting myself from food for extended periods of time. And it wasn't the most fun book. It definitely wasn't as entertaining as The Obesity Code. And it really focused in on a small part of what was in the Obesity Code, where they did recommend fasting as a means to controlling your blood sugar. They really focused in a mile deep on a specific area. But I feel like that was so critical to where I was in my process at the time. I know this is not going to be something everyone's going to run out and do, and I don't think it's for everyone. It works for me, but there are several ways to get your appetite under control. I'm someone who has struggled with my discipline, so I've taken it to an extreme to get myself to a point where I feel like I've got my diet under control. But it's not for everyone, and I recognize that everyone's not going to go into fasting. Um, I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone that has any further questions. I know this review is starting to get a little long, but I'm going to end it there. But just really wanted to share what I got from that book and how it's helped me in this whole process thus far. So I'm going to sign off for there, and I got to find a book for Q4. I've committed to one book per quarter on diet and nutrition, and I think that's been a critical part of my success this year. So I'm going to make sure I find a book, and I'll make sure I share it whenever I finish it. So Fareed Fitness signing off.